My name is Ken Tamminga, and I am a distinguished professor of landscape architecture. Graduate students have filtered through 3 or 4 courses that I teach and that I'm currently teaching. Um, the most prominent would be, let's see, my planting methods course, which is Larch 335/837. It's a cross-listed course, so it's vertical. It's very technical. Um, it's very planterly. We look at some classic and emerging planting genres, such as a mixed garden or planted border. That's primarily about perennials and has aesthetic impact. We look at sort of a hyper urban treed plaza and look at the technology, particularly the below ground technology that's required to allow trees to thrive, and also it's very much about placefulness, creating an outdoor room. And then we look at a planted meadow ecosystem. I have taught the community design studio, and there have always been a handful of graduate students in that, and they've really pulled the studio up and thrived. That's been a few years since I've taught that. My Pittsburgh studio is also a vertical 414. And yeah, this year we don't, I'm in the Triborough district in across the river from the city proper. Um, and we don't have any graduate students. Last year we had one. Typically I'll have anywhere from 1 to 3 graduate students in my Pittsburgh studio, which is what I call an engaged studio. It's about participatory design, usually in at-risk, underserved neighborhoods. Ecological restoration and ecological design have continued to be sort of dear to me and dear to my heart, even as I, um, over the last, say, 10 or 15 years, have again swung a little bit more towards social issues, social inclusion, and the connection between people, place, and ecology in urban neighborhoods and also metro scale. So various different projects and publications attached to those themes. Doing international work really interests me. You'll see if you look at my CV or my webpage that some of my more interesting projects have been in Africa, the ALCAR project. ALCAR was an NSF funded project. I worked on it as a co-PI with folks in geography and the College of Education, mostly adult education. And it was called Anticipatory Learning for Climate Change Adaptation and Resilience. Really large project. We worked with lots of graduate students. And I spent parts of 3 summers in Ghana, central Ghana, and 4 rural villages, and eastern and northern Tanzania, again, another 4 villages that we worked with. And it was basically sort of climate responsive local resilience building. I'm very involved in my convivial green streets work. We've got an international consortium that's emerging, based at the University of Wageningen. It's really exciting to me to see that taking on, and that's something that one of the bigger initiatives that I've actually initiated just sort of single-handedly over the last 10 years. So you'll hear a lot more about that. There's some good papers published already to to sort of ratify the ideas behind it. I'm working with Emily on her capstone project in Philly, so we're starting to get a grip in North America, and there's room probably for more graduate level work along that theme as well. Yeah, so I think that may be part of the future of the academy and learning in landscape architecture is to get away from the old Beaux-Arts tradition that we are going to somehow save people, and that we get a commission and disappear and deliver a product that somehow local folks should be thankful for, and they weren't at all involved. That's a tired paradigm, and I think that its days are limited. And the academy is culpable for that, but so is professional practice. What our students are enamored with, I think that will change as they start to see the full story of the scope of what our discipline is involved with. Um, that all practitioners are responsible for engaged practice. They are responsible for the social factors. They're responsible for the aesthetic factors. They're responsible for the ecological and sustainability and resilience and all the other catchphrase factors. You know, we need to do it all, and there's still room for specialization within that, but usually within consortia or teams that can offer and deliver on promises of holism and balance and equity and inclusivity in how you practice and the places that you make, which raises, of course, the DIRE or the DIER, however you want to say it. But that's the other thing which emerges out of a conversation like this, is that landscape architects, planners, people who are involved in the making of places and regions um, have to do just a much better job of making sure that they are at the forefront of making sure that diversity and inclusivity, anti-racism, and equity happen. In general, I would say the ability to connect with faculty is really important. Then there's some general what makes a good student kind of qualities, right? So what makes a good student has to do with understanding where it is that you're going, why you're learning in the first place, and being persistent about executing that vision and being balanced about it, and taking some of the hard side paths that require, to fill in gaps in skill and knowledge. For a grad student, it might be taking an outside statistics course, as an example. So it's not being afraid to shoulder some graduate level challenges, because after all, that's what you're here for. And you're adults. You are motivated. So don't shy away from that. There's all sorts of ways to make your way through grad school, but one thing that I think most faculty pick up on really quickly is who are the responsive students. So which ones are like responsive, and if they say they're going to do something, they follow through. I really like that. Or they're even better, proactive. Proactivity, um, where you don't even have to ask. They just, the learning needs to happen and the follow through needs to happen, and students are proactive to the extent that they surprise the people they work with. I really like that. And that's what separates for instance, in professional practice, those that remain, glued to an AutoCAD screen, and those that rise up quickly through the ranks and work with clients and become project managers and very shortly become associates. It's because they're proactive or responsive. They share the vision of that institution, whether it's a professional firm or whether it's a department. Doing what makes you happy is ultimately, and doing it with the people that sort of are your co-happy colleagues. That's just a gas. Working on a team where everybody likes each other, that's a pretty special thing. Then also great stuff happens.